You have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to live an exhilarating, adventurous life. You have to stay focused.
It ain't over till it's over.
We are men. That's what we do.
Welcome to another edition of the Power is Within podcast. Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today. As always, today we're going to talk about your health is your wealth. Before we begin, check out my books on Amazon, Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels and The Power is Within. You can check me out on Instagram at Mark's Inspiration. My website is marksinspiration.com, and I'm running a special half off on consulting services in September. So if you'd like to get my help personally, you can contact me there. If you have problems with the relationships, going through a divorce, I have experience there. And whatever kind of need you have in life, I've been through a lot of stuff, so I believe I can help you. Today we have
Claude, I'm 20. Rado, I'm 15 or 16 now.
Frank, I'm 17.
Henry, I'm 19.
And then also merch coming soon.
yeah, the merch. My Frank is making up some shirts. He's got some cool shirts, Mark's Inspiration. We'll have those available here in maybe next couple weeks or something. So check that out when we got it available. So today I came up with this topic because I was watching a reel or something I saw, and Floyd Mayweather was on there, and he talked about your health is your wealth. And what brought that to his mind was there was an little boy that was 10 years old and had cancer, and he was dying, and he wanted to meet Floyd before he died. So Floyd set up an appointment with him to see him. And Floyd realized if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And all this little boy wanted was to meet him. And Floyd's I checked, he's got his net worth is $550 million. But if you think about it, so many people think we're such a monetary society focused on money. We think that if we just had $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, $100 million, or 100,000, whatever it is, we think if we had that, everything would be okay. But I'm here to tell you, the more money you have, the more problems, the more responsibility you have. Anything past being able to pay your bills and have food in your mouth, and maybe a little travel here and there it's an added extra. So, and as we see in the U.S., most people just don't take care of their health. They take better care of their cars than they do their bodies. They value their cars because they had to work for that. But their bodies are actually given to them, so they really don't appreciate them until they get sick. And you guys see the obesity and the overweight people. And I was thinking today, not to mention what it was, because I don't think I can here, but last 2 years we had this health situation. And also I've met and heard several other people that have had that, let me see what I want to call it. I won't call it anything. And they were really healthy. I mean, they worked out and exercised, and they had it was not much of an effect on them at all. Okay. In reverse of that, I know some people who are really overweight. They're not in shape, very poor health, and it was really difficult for them. One guy was a friend of mine a couple of years ago, and he passed away. But he's in such bad shape because he kind of ruined himself partying. His lungs were bad. He was already in a nursing home. So I have to wonder, if we had had a nation of healthy, I'm talking about fit people like what they make us do in school. You have to do a certain fitness test and pass it. Nowadays, we have such a low, ratio of people that are fit in the U.S. compared to 50 years ago. I don't think this would have been a big a deal were everybody in better shape, but at least from what I'm seeing. And they said that most of the people that passed away from it had comorbidities, which mean they already had some serious health problems before they got it. But I looked up what are the physical fitness guidelines in the U.S. What are they? And this is what they got to say. And I'm reading it and I'm thinking, few people could do this. Few people. I mean, a lot of people look at someone and if they're not overweight and they look like they're in shape. I mean, that's kind of what we say now. Well, he looks like he's in shape. But really, to be in shape, here's what they say. For substantial health benefits, of course, when you're healthy and you eat good food, staying away from all the fast food, the processed stuff, which is difficult. Sugars, it's hard to stay away from that. Then your body is running in optimal health and your immune system is as strong as it possibly can be. When you're taking care of every aspect of your body, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritually. Okay, so it says adults should do at least 150 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes, or 300 minutes, 5 hours a week of moderate intensity, which would maybe something like what we do at work sometimes. Some of our work's pretty hard climbing up and down ladders. Or 75 minutes, 1 hour and 15 minutes to 150 minutes, 2 hours and 30 minutes of vigorous, intense aerobic activity. So that's like running or something. How many people? I mean, I'm in pretty good shape and I just started running again and I just now got up to 1.5 miles. So they're talking 2 hours and 30 minutes a week of vigorous intensity aerobic physical activity or an equivalent combination of. So I would guess that to say you were in shape, your weight would be in the range that it should be. Let's say what, for a man, 15 to 20% body fat would be okay. Get down to 12, 10 and below, that's athletic style there, I believe. You should be able to at least run a couple miles. I could do that today, but it'd be hard pressed because I wasn't able to run for a couple of years because of an injury. You should be able to do maybe 50 push-ups, probably 50 or 100 sit-ups. I mean, you guys probably know people your age that can't do that. Many people, most people can't do that. So we have an unfit nation here. It's just incredible.
That just made me think about how starting Monday, we have to do the sprints again, and then after that we got to do the push-ups. We're constantly doing aerobic activity, and not only that, but it's not just about climbing ladders. We're constantly moving ladders, and they're heavy as hell.
Well, and sanding, like with the pole sanding, that's like aerobic activity.
With the rolling ceilings, burns your shoulders.
This is almost like yoga. The clotter. It's like when you're stretching to paint something, you're constantly like this. You guys talk about your shoulders get sore. So we have a constant. I would say that's a moderate. Also, pole sanding maybe a little harder. Sometimes
moving the scaffolding too. That's another one. That one's pretty tough.
But most people don't work like that unless they're in construction. Most people are some people don't even leave their house unless they make a conscious effort to exercise. They get no exercise. They get up in the morning, they eat breakfast, maybe get the kids off to school, and they sit down at the computer all day. And then, of course, they wonder why they don't feel well. Well, you guys know, even though, when we don't go to work, you don't feel near as good as if you work.
Yeah.
It's the same for me. Even though I'm upstairs busy on the computer and doing things all day, I don't get the same feeling of fulfillment and health as I do if I worked hard all day. And we've made things so easy for everybody. You have to put a conscious effort out to get physical exercise. I find it ironic that we've made things so easy that people have to work out because they don't work hard anymore. We're always looking for an easier way. So that we have this problem. We have this actually a health crisis in the U.S. And it's brought on by the poor quality of food, for one thing, and the availability of food. They say they've never had such an availability of food in the world as we have today. I mean, it's not just obesity and overweight here in the U.S. It's through a lot of parts of the world, at least first world and Western countries. So the obesity rate says more than 1/3 of adults in the United States have obesity. That's like 25 pounds more or over what they should weigh. Okay, 36.5% of adults have obesity. Yeah, okay, I said that. And another 32.5% of American adults are overweight. In all, more than 2/3. So that's 2/3 of adults in the United States are overweight or have obesity. Now, if you take that, that comes out to, what is that, 60, 65 or 66%. Okay, now, obviously, those people, most of them are probably, let's say 95% of them or 98, aren't in shape. And you take the rest of the people, they're not overweight, they're not obese, but they're not in shape. So we have a nation. I think I had the stats here on that. Where's it at? Oh, okay. The CDC, we've heard them before, study found that while 22.9% of adults nationally met the federal physical activity guidelines, I don't know what the percentage varied wide by state. A low in Mississippi to a high in 31.5% in Colorado. Now, what are the federal physical activity guidelines? Let me see if I can find what that is. So, what do you guys think about that?
I'm not sure. Whenever you were talking about that, I was thinking about how people who like work out or like are really motivational and all that sort of stuff, they always tell you to be the 1% or be the 5% because there's not a big percentage of people who like stay in shape or do things that they want to do, but instead they just keep following that same path they've been doing the whole time. You got to step out of that path, whether it be working out or whether it's got something to do with your job. Something you don't like. Be the odd man out.
When I was a little bit overweight, I remember how like terrible I used to feel because I would eat junk all the time. And I would exercise a little bit, but it's nothing compared to what we do now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what we do is high intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember whenever I wasn't working out and I was seeing you guys go to the gym, I felt bad because I would just be sitting in my room not doing anything. And then when I started going, I'm getting back up to the weight that I used to be when I was in really good shape, and that's one thing I'm really glad about. And another thing I was gonna say is you feel like crap when you're not doing anything and you don't have any goals. You don't have any goals set up. Like you ask a person who doesn't work out or doesn't go out, you tell them write down like 10 goals right now that you have. They can't think of anything because they're not doing anything. I couldn't think of my goals when I wasn't going to the gym, but now I have all these goals I want to complete now that I'm doing something.
Yeah, I know. Me and Dad have talked a couple times about how like some of these people are on like riding lawnmowers and stuff like that, and it would probably benefit them if they got a push lawnmower. You know, that's pretty hard work.
And how many people you see coming into the grocery stores with the handicap spots are extremely obese?
Mm-hmm.
They can't hardly walk. I mean, a friend of mine made a joke one time, and it made some sense that the handicap spot should be out further in the parking lot because most of those people, not all of them, need to walk to get some exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way they're going to get any better is if they can get some of that weight off because it brings on all diabetes, heart disease, and to say nothing about the stress it puts on your joints.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told you guys just go pick up 25 pounds and imagine carrying that around. And most people are carrying much more than 25 pounds every day. It's just incredible what they.
I remember I used to go to what's it called, the school and all that sort of stuff, and I would wear a weighted vest. Man, you don't realize how heavy that gets after a while because it's not what you're used to, so it starts to get heavy. And the thing is, you have the will to do it. Like if you have the will to change, you will do it. I mean, our neighbors just down the street, all the way down there, they used to be really big, but then one of them started walking up and down the hill all the time where the gas station is and back. They lost a whole bunch of weight.
Yeah, the inactivity is the big problem. It's not so much, it is the overeating also, but the inactivity is the issue. They just don't do anything. And the less you do, the less you want to do and the worse you feel. I mean, we're made to be active.
Yeah, once you take that first step, and you keep going, at that point it's just a repetition. You keep doing the same thing over and over and over.
Well, you guys are working harder now because, of course, you work physically on the job, but you're also exercising. You feel better now than you did when you were doing less.
Yeah.
The more you do, the better you feel usually. But that's kind of like it's contrary to what we're taught to a certain degree. It's like, well, you got to rest up. We do need rest, of course, but you can overdo it. But here we have some examples of activities that require vigorous effort: jogging or running, swimming laps, riding a bike fast on hills. I always told me when I used to race bicycles, you had to pedal up the hill and down the hill. You never stopped pedaling. Playing singles tennis, I played tennis once. Playing basketball, that's pretty good exercise too.
Yeah. You used to do them Ironman what marathons, right?
Triathlons,
Yeah, those are hard as hell, man. It's a lot of biking, swimming, and running. It's tough. It's tough enough for me running a couple miles.
Oh, I
I don't
know.
know if I can do all that. That's
Well,
that's high intensity.
And there's this thing now they're talking about, as you guys know, they're saying that men's testosterone levels are dropping,
Mhm.
but it's proven that exercise builds up testosterone levels.
Yeah.
If you're not, I guess testosterone in men, from what I've read about it, it gives you more assertiveness, more, what I say, more punch for your, more oomph for your what you want
Yeah.
to do.
Mhm.
And it kind of gives you want to get in there and you want to do something, you want
Yeah.
to put an effort out. But as it is, we're doing less and less. So nature adapts. So if we don't need that, because unless you're purposely exercise making, as a society, genetically it'll be passed down. Well, if you got grandpa and then the father, if they were inactive, then they're going to pass
Yeah.
down a genetic blueprint that they don't need as much testosterone. I think too, if you notice, and I read about this, but and I'm not sure if I'm right, but in the U.S., you don't see very many big-breasted women, except for the ones that got the breast job.
Mhm.
But when you go down to Latin America, women have, because they still nurse down there, and they've been nursing for years, but they stopped nursing up here in general back in the 50s or 60s. They started going with the bottle fed.
Mhm.
So what happens is, well, they're not using their breast, so they get smaller and smaller. I mean, there's like an epidemic of breast implants. All women want to get bigger breasts,
Mhm.
and you don't see too many women up here. I mean, like Paulina's breasts are pretty big, but her mom breastfed.
Mhm.
And I suppose her mom, I'm sure, breastfed her and grandma. And that's, but see the old adage, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So we're not needing our testosterone here. And this is all hypothetical, kind of something I'm just kind of wondering about this. Because if we're not needing it, then nature will eventually weed it out because we don't need it. And as you guys know too, how many men do you see around now that they're not gay, but they seem like they're a woman. Their actions,
They're flamboyant.
they're
Yeah.
not masculine. They're not what the idea of masculine is.
Yeah, the thing about that is that exercise can bring out your testosterone and stuff. But if you're not doing stuff like that, which I'm pretty sure, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure your body can produce estrogen. A male's body can produce estrogen if they're not doing anything physical that provides testosterone.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not into the chemical aspects. I know some guys that are, but I don't. Here's one here. I know they say that squats will increase testosterone too. I was listening to someone speak the other day, and they said in a study that actually watching fights or watching some of your favorite teams have a victory increases testosterone. Getting into a martial arts sport or combat sport increases testosterone. There's a lot of things, but then a lot of guys now are opting out for, they got the shots and the cream and different things like that. And if that works for them, that's fine. I've never had a need to do that, but since I've been 20, I've been real conscious about my health, taking care of myself, working out. I haven't really been as conscious about what I eat. I've always eaten pretty good until the last few years. But some forms of vigorous strenuous exercise are considered. Squats are the king of leg exercises. Deadlifts are another dreaded exercise, and only a few people perform them in their workouts. Bench press, walking lunges, military presses, muscle ups, skull crushers. I don't know what that is. What is the skull?
Oh,
Skull-
skull crushers. Yeah, it's where you're on the bench and you get that that bar that's like not straight. And what you do is you'll lay down, you go like right to your forehead, and you bring it back up.
You can bring the
You
curl.
bring it
You can
down.
get a curl bar and bring it towards you. You keep your arms at 90.
Yeah, pretty much.
you bring
It pretty
it
much
up.
works on your
I guess
triceps.
You can use it with the curl bar, or you can use it with
If you get wore out,
25.
the bar crushes your skull.
Yeah. That's why they're called skull
Is that what it
crushers.
is?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I've hit my forehead a couple times.
It's a lot harder than what people
Pretty
think.
damn hard.
Here it says, what heart rate is considered vigorous exercise? What do you think?
What heart rate
Yeah,
is?
for your age? It varies in age, but
Shoot,
Like the
per minute,
per minute.
beats per minute.
Man, I haven't done that in so long since
Wouldn't it be 80
Middle
or 90
school.
for kids in 15 to 20?
No, it's more than that. A
More.
lot of kids got a resting heart rate of 60 or 70, even 75 or 80.
So it would be like
Some
what
guys
in
say
the
about 160.
I said
160.
170. Yeah.
Let's see what this is. If the heart rate monitor shows that you're working at 70 to 85% of your heart rate, then it's vigorous exercise. To find your maximum heart rate, subtract your age from 220. For example, if you're 45 years old, subtract 45 from 220 to get a maximum heart rate of 175. So for you take 220, you're 20. So I guess 200 for you.
Yeah, another thing I was gonna say is if you do that for a minute, one thing I did notice is if you take a deep breath, like if you breathe in slowly, your heart rate slows down. But when you breathe out, your heart rate speeds up. I've done it multiple times before. If you take a deep breath in, and then your heart rate goes slower and slower, but then when you breathe out, it goes right back to the same speed that it is. It's pretty
I know
weird.
the heart rate of people that are heavier. Is it faster or something? Or
I don't know, but I've been around some pretty heavy people, and they walk to the bathroom and come back. If I'm at a meeting, and they are really huffing and puffing. It's such. But then
Yeah.
again, think about if you went up there. Well, if I went up and carried the bench bar with 100 pounds, that would be tough to carry it from one room. And these people are carrying much more than 100 pounds.
and I know that has a lot of pressure on their chest because
That's
all the
another
weight.
problem.
You know, they have problems sleeping. I've heard.
And that's why during this previous or current, whatever you want to call it, health crisis, the people that were overweight, it was much more difficult because it would I also said it would attach to the fat cells more so than someone who didn't have fats. And also it would cause lung problems, and the heavier people already have pressure on their lungs and their heart.
Yeah, one thing that I was gonna say that kind of gives Henry, me, and Frank and Mark an example of what it would feel like to be heavier is after we come back from the gym, when we're going up the stairs, we'll skip a stair, but as soon as we get to the top, our thighs are sore, man, because of all the working out and stuff. So like your legs get tired. It's almost like that's how people who are heavier, like they carry that weight all the time.
When people are heavy, they're working out constantly just to try to walk.
Well, you've seen how big someone's calves are.
Yeah,
I mean, they're carrying a hell of a lot, and their thighs too. They're carrying because usually, well, depending on how big they are, usually their calves don't get. There's not a lot of fat on there, but on their thighs, a lot of times it's not necessarily heavy too. Sometimes it is, but I'll say the difference between the U.S. people in the U.S. and when I was down in Latin Americas, there were women that was overweight, but they had muscle underneath them because they're working down there. Here we have the weight, but we don't have any muscle because everybody drives, few people walk.
Yeah, Henry and I were talking about that. We were talking about how the only thing that doesn't usually have fat is it was your calves, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the only place that doesn't really have too much fat is your calves. Well, here's the thing: people who are overweight, their fingers are usually chubby, and then they're slim, like at the end.
Yeah, because you can't really get that much fat.
You can't get too much fat there.
Almost, how would I say? Well, you can't say anything about. I mean, if you, what do they call it? Fat shaming people is what they call it. I mean, I remember when I was overweight. God, I was 25 pounds, and I hated it. It was terrible. I didn't even want to go out. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. And even then, that was back in the 80s, and people would still say, "Oh, you're not heavy," but I was. I was overweight. It was even accepted somewhat back then, but not as much as it is now. I mean, if you walked directly up to somebody and said they would be angry, you'd be considered a bad person. But yet people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're so thin," or "You're so skinny." That's okay, but that could bother a person too. I know when I was younger, and I was at school at Solix up there, and they had a mirror up there, and I called it the skinny mirror. I would look in it, and I hated the way I looked so skinny. But actually, I was probably about the same. I probably weighed the same as I do now. I didn't have as much muscle then, but yeah, I didn't like being skinny. And if somebody called me skinny, I guess you would say it hurt my feelings. So, but like when we were in school, there was only like one overweight person, and they got picked on. They really did. So, and you get picked on because I got picked on. I don't know, not because I was skinny, but just because I had long hair and I was different. So you're going to get picked on. People's going to get bullied. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I got picked on.
Part of life.
It's just because they envied me.
I was the one picking on people.
Well,
I never got picked on. I'm joking.
Yeah, I've been on both ends of that stick, and looking back on it, it didn't hurt me. It's kind of like the pecking order. I mean, it's just the way it is. It caused me to learn how to fight. It actually caused me to become a man. Well, I mean, nowadays I wouldn't call it a man myself, but at least a man who would stand up for himself. I don't think you can feel like much of a man if every time someone says something to you or barks at you that you back down and cower away.
Mhm.
I think we all have a warrior within us and it needs to be expressed, not necessarily in a fight, but you need to be able to stand up and speak back to someone.
Mhm.
For example, if you're at work, I remember once when I was younger working for a carpenter, and that guy would be barking at me and talking to me like a dog. I just told him right straight up. I said, "Here's the deal." I said, "If you want me to do something, I'll do whatever you want me to do, get whatever you want me to get, but you're going to talk to me with respect." I said, "If you don't, I'm not doing anything for you." And from then on, so I stood up to him.
Mhm.
Didn't have to fight the guy, but I felt secure in myself enough that I was able to stand up to the man. But if you can't do that, and when I was younger, I was in situations where I didn't stand up to people, and it was humiliating. I mean, for 2 or 3 weeks, I'd feel like a piece of shit, and I thought to myself, it can't be any worse getting beat up than the way I beat myself up and the way I feel about myself when I back down when somebody's calling me a pussy or, yeah, you're nothing, you little punk. It just,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's terrible. God
it's
damn.
almost like walking up to a girl. It's like if you don't walk up to her, you feel worse about not walking up to her than if you. Because here's the thing, it would have been better if you would have walked up to her and said something and got rejected instead of like not going there at all. Because then you start beating yourself up, thinking, "Oh, well, what if this could happen?" It's like, well, now you don't know because you didn't do it.
Most kids nowadays they're too scared to express how they feel about a
I
situation.
seen you at that party. They text the girl.
Yeah.
Well, most kids are afraid to express how they feel about like a situation if they're getting bullied for something because they're afraid to get beat up.
Right.
And nowadays it's so high with that stuff because the what's it called? Me personally type of vibes.
Oh yeah.
And what's
Yeah.
that?
It's like
So there's a meme going around right now, and if someone gets disrespected or like humiliated, they'll be like they'll have like a third party person come in and be like, me personally, I wouldn't take that type of disrespect, but that's just me.
This is some kind of a.
It's a troll. It's a troll to get you two to fight.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, to
instigating
get you,
a
yeah.
fight.
Oh.
There's always that instigator.
It's everywhere. Like
Uh-huh.
I don't even escape it.
Yeah, man, that's pretty funny. But I mean, like, I don't know. I see that all the time.
I'm finna start fighting the instigator.
But now
Yeah.
in school they have a no tolerance policy.
Yeah.
yeah.
No fight. So how many people do you think? How many people are in your class, Brado?
Like what do you mean? Like my grade
In
class?
your grade class. How many people? Just take a guess.
Probably like 200, 150.
How many of those
between.
people you think are in shape? Could run a mile, do 50 push-ups, 100 setups. And,
It'd be pretty. It's pretty surprising, but probably about like half of them.
oh, you think
Okay.
half of them?
Probably
Yeah.
50-50.
Because most-
I wouldn't say
sports.
I wouldn't say they could do a bunch of push-ups or like physical like, exercising, but they can like. There's a lot of kids in cross country and track and
that's
stuff.
good, yeah.
Mainly boys.
Yeah,
It's boys and there's a little bit of girls that do it too.
it's higher when you're not in school than when you're it's higher whenever you're out of school than when you're in school.
Yeah, because you have
most-
no one to push you,
Yeah.
or you have like no like
Yeah.
Yeah, because your coaches are constantly pushing you, and like obviously there's certain parents who don't want their kids to have bad grades, so what they'll tell so kids have to keep their grades up, so they do physical activity.
after high school. If you don't have like no college experience, if you're not going for sports or anything, or just like go to education,
Yeah.
you have no guidance on what it is to do.
Unless you get a physical job or something, you're not going to stay in shape.
Yeah, and
What about the lunches? What
Oh,
about
It's
man.
terrible. I don't even eat them.
One of the kids got food poisoning from the meat from the nachos and
Jeez.
stuff.
So what is a typical meal there? What
They have like
Nachos.
No,
Well,
yeah,
go ahead.
pizzas,
Nachos,
nachos.
pizza.
They have like sandwiches, don't they? Or
Yeah,
they
we have
daily.
okay. So the lunches that are free are pizzas and all the like nasty stuff. You have to pay to get like a salad or a sandwich.
And they started bringing in high school. They have like sodas, like energy drinks.
And then they give you a
Yeah.
fruit, but nobody eats it. They just throw it away.
Yeah.
another
yeah,
thing.
the school forces
Yeah,
you
you
to pick
can-
up a
It's all
brew.
processed.
Yeah,
Oh man,
You can grab that pizza and go like this to it.
Grease. grease.
And dude,
Oh,
just
yeah.
grease flowing
man,
out of that
that's not
thing.
even the worst thing. The cheese, you could grab the cheese, man. You could yank that.
It's
that
like
stuff-
string cheese,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's not even
all
supposed to
stick
be.
and stretch out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It doesn't even taste
Like
or
in
feel
8th
like
grade,
real
it was
cheese.
fine, but they also changed it the same year too.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they'll have chicken nuggets and mashed potatoes, but
And
those
then
are
You got-
milk.
That's what I be eating. I don't eat
Well,
anything
milk in
else.
chili or not?
Nah, they don't serve
Nah,
those no
you
more.
know-
That's in
I don't guess
elementary.
they peanut butter no more. Huh?
No.
One thing
They do that in elementary,
Yeah,
but not no
Peanut butter
more.
still?
No, they do sun butter.
Sun
Yeah.
butter, yeah, sun
Oh,
butter.
God forbid if somebody had a peanut allergy.
Another thing I was gonna say is what's it called? I'm trying to think of what it was. Shoot, I lost my train of
Yeah.
thought. It was actually really
Uh-huh.
good.
Now look at you.
Yeah.
Joking.
Well, you got
I've seen
people going
videos
back
of the
and
milk,
forth.
like they'll pour it out and it looks like the cheese.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause it's,
see,
like,
now I
cloudy.
remember. You don't got people drinking white milk. You got them drinking that strawberry or chocolate milk.
Right,
They
yeah.
don't have strawberry
I mean,
milk there either.
I'll admit it. I drank the chocolate milk because that white
In high
milk-
school, they don't have the strawberry no
Yeah,
more.
because that regular milk tastes bland as hell.
I drink the regular milk. That chocolate milk smells like coffee.
And then for breakfast, they'll give us like sandwiches with like a fake egg or something. It's not even
Yeah,
a
it
real
looks like
egg.
an omelet, but it's not. It's not that.
They
And
just-
then
They
they
take
just
it out the freezer and threw it in the microwave.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, that's
they'll
what
give
I
you
mean.
those dry cupcakes, the chocolate ones.
Oh yeah.
The blueberry ones are the best ones, but like the chocolate ones are just
And then for
dry.
snack choices, like if you have money, you can get snacks. It's just all chips and stuff.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Like healthy.
I mean, the hot
Yeah.
they think the hot Cheetos are healthy because they're from like this bakery thing, and then you eat them and they don't even taste like anything. They're so bland.
Tastes like they ain't got no seasoning on them.
Yeah.
What you know about seasoning?
Because my culture made it.
That was good.
I got
can't
him with
do
that
it.
one. I got
Man, that was good.
Yeah. Because
But-
I'm ashamed of my culture for that.
Oh man, but yeah, they don't have any healthy food at school anymore. Like if you want to get something healthy, it's like it costs money. But even
Yeah.
those chicken sandwiches,
Nah,
aren't
they be
healthy.
having those like Subway sandwiches. It tastes like grass.
Yeah.
They don't even put no meat on it.
Yeah.
Put that cold ass salami on it, bro.
Yeah, I did that. I hate that. I can't stand it. That's why it's better to bring your own lunch than to buy lunch.
I just went and ate that. I didn't have
You
any
got
other
those weird
choice.
kids making fun of you saying, "Why ain't you eat the school lunch?
So,
It's
like,
good."
You can get
Yeah.
like chocolate milk and stuff, but you got to pay for the waters. You got to pay for any other drink that you want. Sometimes they have like healthy drinks, like
Yeah, healthier,
like-
yeah.
Yeah, but
You gotta buy
yeah,
those.
yeah, they're like $2.75. And
They're a little bit more than that. They're probably like
Yeah.
$2.50.
It's like,
I'm
man,
charging.
They have,
It's
they have
keeping
the
people.
vending machine with the Gatorades
Yeah,
and
it's like
water.
even if you don't have like a school lunchbox and you're putting in a Walmart bag, don't matter if it's ghetto as long as it's healthy. It's like you want to live longer, don't you? It's like don't matter. It don't,
Yeah, when I was in school, I couldn't even eat because I had to wait right after lunch. So if I ate, I would have to use the bathroom. So I never ate at school.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that's
I
another
know.
thing. It
I
hurts
know
your
something about
stomach.
that.
Yeah,
Food
it does.
hurts your
Yeah.
stomach. It's not like
I
eating
ate
regular
nachos.
food.
I ate nachos one day, and the meat, it's disgusting, and their cheese is super salty.
I'll be smacking
Plus-
them.
Plus, it's different now. They changed it to a different type of cheese.
Oh.
and
my
it's
I would have gym like
They changed the
right
brands
yeah,
of it.
right after or like I would have gym right after lunch
It looks like
sometimes.
provolone.
And then
Same
second
color.
semester, I had it before lunch. And one thing I will say is that even though like that food was bad, my stomach was stronger back then than it is now.
Yeah.
Shoot, the healthiest probably meal was the breakfast pizzas that we had at school.
Nope.
That was
okay. but-
that was all that was there.
Those
That
were
was
those
actually
Square
good
pizzas,
without like
weren't they?
yeah, greasy as hell food.
yeah,
like,
but
that's
you
all they
gotta
had.
admit that stuff was fire in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I
come
mean,
on.
sometimes
I
they'll
never
give you
ate those.
sausage patties, but those are disgusting. 'cause
Dude, they
they're
don't
not
even taste real. They taste like some
No,
little kid
those
had
are
them.
just straight like grease.
Yeah,
Grease.
It's
It's
disgusting.
literally just
Alright,
straight
the-
grease.
the
They're not
one-
even cooked fully.
the one thing that I did like at the time was the muffins. And
Yeah,
that
the
was like the
muffins are
only
good.
healthy thing. Like the muffins were okay.
Nah, you know what I'd be snatching though? I'd be snatching like 3 or 4, maybe 5 of those fruit or those juice cups.
Oh, those are
Oh,
good.
Those
yeah.
juice
The
cups.
are
I'll have
good.
my homeboy steal some from me, bro.
The thing about it is that like the school does not provide you with any healthy food. I mean, here's the thing. You go to a different school, I mean, maybe the food is different because there are some kids at different schools who are just built different.
Yeah.
They're just
Nah, you
built
got like the
different.
St. Dominic High School. It's like the private school stuff. They have some pretty good food there.
Yeah, they're like built like
Well, here this says a different statistic study here. 37.9% of men and 41.1% of women are considered to be obese in the U.S. This is twice as many as 3 decades ago. So that would be, what would be 3 decades? That'd be
1990s.
1990. Okay, approximately 15% of children and teens are overweight, 3 times as many as were in the 1980s. So that comes up to a total. I'd heard this too. I'd heard it raised. That's 41 and 37 would be 70, 78, almost 79% of the U.S. population is considered obese. I would say around here it's probably 90 to 95% obese. Overweight, probably 96%. Some places are more obese than others, but I would say around here. And I noticed when I come back from Guatemala, I left in 2003, came back in 2009, and I noticed the difference. It was like night and day. A lot of the men had gained a lot of weight and gotten big. I didn't recognize some. And of course, since we had this pandemic thing, after that, I know a couple people. I don't even know who they are now. They know me, and I recognize the face, but it's like, well, I knew you about 150 pounds ago. Really, and I can't place them, but they remember me because I'm still about the same as I was. So I know a lot of people put weight on during that because they weren't out, and of course, a lot of people were probably afraid and uncertain, and they comforted themselves with food. And the food deal is not, people don't eat because they're hungry. They use it the same way they use drugs or alcohol. And it's a comfort deal, and it turns into an addiction. And as you guys know, sugar, everything's got sugar in it. And sugar is as addicting as hell, but yet they continue to put it in the food. Sugar, they call them the 3 white poisons: sugar, white flour, and salt. And we were talking about salt the other day. The regular white salt it's iodized.
Oh yeah. The salt
What
with
was
the
it about that?
with the
Just bad for you?
little umbrella girl. They said that wasn't good.
That's what I've been using since I
Yeah,
was a kid.
the
I'm
Hawaiian.
not much of a salt guy.
Yeah, the Hawaiian sea salt is good for you. That's a lot better for
We
you.
got
than-
some Himalayan pink salt, man.
Yeah, Himalayan pink salt. That's what it is. Not that salt with the little umbrella girl. That stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to find anything that's not processed, though. Therein lies the problem. Everything is processed. And when you start processing things, you start ruining the food value.
You want some sea salt? Go to the middle of the ocean. Salt water.
Well, look at
Get the
this.
purest amount of
like at
salt.
McDonald's or Burger King or any place, they put nutritional value. No, really, all they're doing is telling you how many calories are in it.
Yeah.
That doesn't, and that's like a lie, because that's not a nutritional value would be how many units of vitamin C, vitamin D, natural vitamin D, C, whatever A that it had in it. Nutritional value is not caloric value. Caloric value is just the energy in the food. It's not the same thing as, it's not the same. Let's say you ate a Burger King burger and it had 600 calories. You're not going to get the same nutritional value out of that as you would get out of eating a grass-fed steak and a serving of peas and a salad, all natural. There's no comparison to that. It's hard telling how many of the units of vitamins are processed out of that food.
I bet you could probably get I bet you could probably be in like really good shape and really healthy if you went to like places like Amsterdam and like ate like cow from places like that, because those places look like the grass is super green and like it doesn't look like there's any factories around places like that. Everything looks healthy.
Well, and herein lies the problem too, because if the cattle, now here in the U.S., a lot of the cattle and the hogs and everything are all in confinement. When I was a kid, they ate out in the ground. We'd throw them corn, and the corn wasn't, I think there's like 10 countries around the world they won't even buy our corn. There's 10 products here that's common in our grocery stores that other countries have banned because they're actually poisoning us here.
Yeah.
Someone called it death by 1,000 cuts. It doesn't kill you all at once, but over a period of time, if you continue to eat this garbage, eventually it catches up with you one way or the other. But this benefits the food companies, which they're $1 trillion a year industry. Then you got the big pharmacies, which they're $1 billion a year, whatever their billions of dollars they're making. So if you got unhealthy people, it works for both those guys.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find healthy food too, because a lot of the food and farms and stuff like that, they got pesticides.
Yeah, and everything runs down the water. And then, what I was going to say is, and then they feed the hogs the corn, and then we're eating the hogs, and so it's just like us eating. It's all chemicalized, and
Yeah.
and it has the hogs. A lot of these hogs, chicken. They have growth hormones they put in. You've seen some of them drumsticks.
Yeah.
I mean, they look like turkey legs.
Yeah.
These are chicken legs.
Yeah.
So I'm not a conspiracy guy, so I'm not saying, I think it's more, they just want to make profits.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not as concerned about people's health and welfare as they are the profits that they're making. Because as you guys know, I buy organic, and hopefully it's organic. But the price is like, I mean, let's say you buy chicken breasts, so much, maybe a pound, whatever it is, for $6. The same thing in organic is going to cost you about
Mm-hmm.
$8 to $10.
Or like whenever the fair was open, if you went to go get like a hot dog, like one of them really long hot dogs, it wasn't like 2 hot dogs like deep fried. It was like one long hot dog. It's like hot dogs are like this long, but that one was like
Charge you like
super-
$10 for it too.
Yeah, they would
Well,
charge you
think
10
about
bucks.
that food too. I mean, is there anything there that's going to be healthy? None of that.
The
stuff.
only thing
Funnel
that's
cakes.
the only thing that I guess
Man.
you could say
Straight
even
sugar.
close to good for you is the lemonade because it's made with actual.
not
Nah,
even.
they
But
put too much
still,
sugar in that.
Yeah, they stuff it. They pack it down with sugar.
Yeah, not only that, but
I mean, they'll put the
You-
lemons in it, but
you can also get different colored lemonade, but like it's like it should not be a different color. It shouldn't, because there's like blue.
well, there's pink lemonade and there's
There's
like the
the blue
yellowish,
raspberry.
but there should not be like blue or red.
No, it
And
should
who
just
knows
be-
what's in that stuff to make it taste
So
how. There's a
sweet.
good example right there: the McDonald's Frappuccino.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows what's in that? That thing is about so. I take a sip of that; it's so sickening sweet. I can't hardly stand it. And then we were talking about the peas. The organic peas have sugar in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that surprised me. And now when I eat the regular Domani peas, it's like they got 3 teaspoons of sugar in there. They're so sweet. And I never noticed that before until I started cutting all the sugar back that I could. And I don't think there's wrong with taking a little sugar here and there, but the problem is we have sugar in everything. So how do we get away from that? It's almost impossible to eat completely healthy unless you're raising your own. You have your own garden and your canned vegetables. And I think that the most important thing is to stay away from fast food. I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe going there once a week, but if you got a steady diet of that stuff, like some of my kids seem to want to have, it can't be good for you. But you don't see the effects now because you're young. You can almost live on anything when you're younger. I didn't eat that well when I was younger either, but I didn't have the access to fast food that you guys
Yeah.
had.
Nowadays, it's so much easier. You can literally walk there and just get a burger.
Not even, it's on your phone.
But one thing I will say is, you feel like sluggish after you
Yeah.
eat something like that. You can tell you
Sure,
feel.
it tastes good when you're eating, but afterwards you sure don't feel too
Yeah,
good.
you just feel like you don't want to get up. You just don't. You feel sluggish. I mean, like sometimes, like when I eat tuna at work before I go to boxing, I feel good. But sometimes, but there was those times when I would have like a bag of candy and I would eat it, like 3 or 4 pieces of like Snickers before I'd go to boxing. And then I just didn't want, like, I felt a little bit sluggish. Not only that, but like your mouth's all sticky.
Yeah.
That's why, certain people tell you to like breathe through your nose and not your mouth, because when your mouth is dry, it's just like it's hard as hell to breathe. It sucks, and
Well, you
sugar
got to
doesn't
figure
help.
everything that you eat becomes you.
Yeah,
Food turns into you. So if you're eating junk food, guess what you're going to turn into? More than likely, kind of junk. You're going to feel like junk. You're not going to feel good. Junk in, junk out. It's the same thing with what you feed your mind.
yeah.
You're putting
I
in
mean,
a bunch of-
you're made of like, obviously you're made of like the same thing. Like you're made of what you eat. You know?
you are what you eat.
Yeah, you are what you
You
eat. So
also are what you listen to, what you're allowed to get into your mind, what you take in.
I mean, one day we'll go back to the earth and everything. So like, it's like you might as well eat that, because it's almost like if you eat junk all the time and you die, once you pass away and everything, you got all that junk in your system. It's not like if you're going back to the earth, it's pretty much like littering. It's pretty much like littering.
That's a funny point. It may not take you back. I've thought about that too. You guys have heard maybe about how people they get old and want to go back to their home country.
Mhm.
I wonder how much that has to do. It's just something I contemplated about. How much that has to do, because like I grew up around Solix up there, and to me that seems like home. Of course, I ate out of the garden up there. Grandpa had pigs, cows, chickens, eggs, all that. And I wonder how much you're connected to that part of the earth, because that's actually where your body developed and became in existence from. And of course, my mom was from up there. So I mean, it's just something I thought about because I hear so many people talk about that they want to go back to where they were born, where they were raised and born.
Yeah.
And the Indians used to call the earth Mother Earth
Mhm.
because all that we are, just like we're born from a woman here, we're actually born from the time we come in. Well, we're born from a woman and what she ate from the earth, so she became.
Mhm.
So if you think about that, we're actually connected to the earth in that way.
Yeah. We're destroying it slowly, little
Well,
by
we are.
little.
We're like a cancer on the earth. We are
Yeah.
destroying. But I mean, there's plenty of resources here for probably going to last forever. But they want to make us think we're in a shortage, which we're not. The shortage and any kind of lack we have is created by man. Would you? Okay, I got a question. Would you say it's cheaper to eat unhealthy or healthy? Oh, it's
Healthy.
much cheaper to eat unhealthy.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot better. It's more difficult. You must put out more effort. When he asked me, I think about the apples in the grocery store.
Mhm.
It's like they're beautiful and you bite into them, but there's nothing there.
I mean, there are some stores where you can eat healthy and it's cheap, but like we have like Walmart and Kroger. Walmart's got all this unhealthy food that's cheap. You go to Kroger, it's a little more expensive to get something that's healthy. I mean, Kroger's got really good food. It's got
Kroger's
healthy
got some
food.
pretty good deals though.
Got
Yeah.
another question.
It's better
Thanks,
it's better to shop at Kroger than Walmart.
thanks, Mark, for the question. Mad Forever. We got a question from Michael West. What is the first step to create a healthy diet? Who wants to try that one?
Well, from what I learned from John Fitch, if that's what like I'm saying his name right, he said to start off slowly, do it for 3 weeks, and then change your diet from there.
Yeah, start.
What do you think constitutes a healthy diet?
Consistency.
But I mean, what types of food? If you were going to the grocery store today, what would you buy for a daily breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What would you?
Well, I mean, it depends on what your lifestyle
I
is.
think
If
so,
you're like
too.
a football player like me, or if you're a boxer, you're gonna want to eat like more muscle protein and stuff like that.
What did John say? 30 grams of protein for every.
It's a gram of protein for
Oh yeah,
your body weight.
for your body weight. For me, I'm 155. It came up to about 60 grams of protein, I think. 60. I had to eat 20, 40. Yeah, I think it was about 60 or maybe more. I'm not sure.
Yeah, for me it'd have to be I think like maybe 27 grams of protein, something like that. That's what my coach told me. She one way you can do it is look at the protein and all that stuff. Like read what's in the
actual
back.
nutritional
Yeah,
facts.
the nutritional facts.
But if we try to figure out, okay, let's say for breakfast, most people eat cereal. I've been told that anything in a box you want to stay away from.
Mhm.
Well, also I don't mean to cut you off. There's also like they kind of hide it from you. There's serving sizes in it out of the whole thing. They don't tell you about that.
Yeah.
So you gotta like multiply that. Say if it has like 3 or 2, you multiply it by 2.
One thing that would be good for cereal is like Raisin Bran or corn flakes. Like
I mean,
corn.
I love Raisin Bran. And I eat
Yeah.
some of that, but it's processed. So what would we say would be a good healthy breakfast? I would go back to the traditional eggs, but you're going to
Mhm.
want to get the organic
Yeah.
eggs.
Yeah.
You're going to pay the price for them. So if you want to go with that, I don't think there's anything wrong with pork, some bacon. I'm a traditional meal, but you want to get some good bacon.
Find
It could be oats if you want to get organic oats. You can have a bowl of oatmeal.
You can find somebody who raises chickens and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if they're raising their chickens healthy, you can get eggs from there. It's like probably as pure as you can get it. It's probably the easiest way you could start, or just get eggs and go to Kroger. That's where the healthy food is. They got deals. I mean, you
They sell it a lot
always go
cheaper
to
than
Kroger.
Walmart.
You
Like-
always go to Kroger and buy stuff from
Yeah,
there.
because it's better food. I would go to
Uh-huh.
Deerberg's if we had one here. The quality of food is much better. Like Brado said, I had a comment there. Brado said something about, it depends too. What if you're a runner, you're going to eat different than Brado does.
Yeah.
You're going to need to take in more carbohydrates, which is more grains and lentils. I think it's called something like that. But I think the most important thing is to stay away from processed, canned, and of course, I had to buy peas in a can. You could buy the frozen peas, but they're not organic, I suppose. That's why I said if we had Deerberg's has a good organic section. Up here, we don't have near as much. But then again, even some of the organic stuff you got to watch because it's like processed candy bars, and we got the protein bars. I got off of those because to me it was like a glorified candy bar. So I'd say for breakfast, if you want to have a bowl of oatmeal, it's not too pretty. when it comes to eating healthy. You guys see what I eat. I eat a couple, 2, 3 cans of tuna a day. I have organic peas. I usually buy those wheat crackers that have no sugar. And to you guys, it would be pretty bland. I eat a lot of dates. So I would recommend eating a lot of dates, which is a natural organic food, or apples, oranges, anything you can get out of the produce section. And if you can find meat that's not, if you can find some grain-fed, what they call grain-fed meat, that would be a good thing to have for lunch. Some fish, some kind of fish. You could buy fish or eat tuna out of a can.
Yeah, fish
Oysters
is
are good.
Fish is one of the most lean meats that you can eat, so that's like really good. I mean, I guess it is meat because it's fish. You
Yeah,
know?
it's just hard to find. But I'm a meat guy, so I don't think there's anything wrong with having steak a couple, 2 or 3 times a week. Or, but as long as you get your vegetables in with it, whether it be beans, peas, green beans, different types, you need your vegetables. It's just milk. I've been drinking milk all my life. Maybe that's why my teeth are good. I've had strong bones. They always said that was good for that. I think it is. I don't drink organic milk because I read up on that, and they said it really doesn't make a lot of difference in that. So, but we have another question here too. Ricky Rich asks advice for anyone who has like an eating disorder, impulsive or compulsive. I suppose he means eating as such.
Oh man, okay. Most of that compulsive eating comes from you just eat because you're bored. I mean, our coach told us herself that like sometimes people don't eat because it's like a problem. They eat because they're bored.
Well, shut the TV off. How many
Yeah.
commercials come on, showing you food, telling you what to eat?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something like that, like you're eating because you're bored, find an activity to do. Go out, go do something. Otherwise, you're eating all the time because you're bored. You know, you just want that short like satisfaction for like 5 or 10 minutes.
It's a comfort.
Yeah.
I mean, as you guys know, I suffered from that bulimia or what, overeating, and it was terrible because you have to eat, and then once you start, you don't want to stop. I mean, it was easier for me to quit drinking and doing drugs when I used to party than it was to quit eating. And what I found out was I wasn't eating, of course, because I was hungry. I was eating because I had things inside of me that I didn't feel good about. I wasn't doing anything with my life at the time. And what really helped me to start getting out of it was I got into triathlons, which is kind of a compulsive sport, but yet it gave me something to think about and to replace the overeating with, which is probably over exercising maybe, but it helped me maintain my body. That is, and I'm sure that's a big problem now, is this these eating disorders. There's anorexia but I think everybody has a little bit of body dysmorphia, because you guys know I look at myself and like, wait, don't you think I look fat? And you guys, God, you're ripped, man. It's like, but when I look at myself, I think, well, I don't know. I'm happy with my body, but I'm always thinking, I don't know, man. I need to get my body weight, the body fat percentage down. So it has more to do. Eating disorders have more to do with what's going on inside of you. Like if you have guilt, shame, anger, remorse, regret, resentment, all those things, the things that you have to live with. What you need to do is to get that out on paper and sit down and talk to somebody about that. And a lot of these things that bother us, maybe we were raised up in an abusive household, maybe we were molested, maybe we were beat on or told we were stupid or dumb or never going to amount to anything. All these things beat our self-esteem down. So a person doesn't overeat because he feels great about himself. He feels badly about himself, maybe because what he's been told since he was raised by the people who supposedly were the ones who loved him. And they were just doing the best they could. They were probably told worse. So we don't feel good about ourselves. So we actually self-sabotage it. We're actually wanting to hurt ourselves. So we overeat, we gain weight, we don't like ourselves, so we eat more, because when we're eating, we feel good. It gives us a temporary feeling of pleasure. But then afterwards, you have more remorse, and it's a terrible cycle, which I experienced. And it took me a long time to get out, but I got out of it by working on the inner me and finding out what was in me that made me want to drink, do drugs, overeat, and not just feel the feelings that I had. So we have to get those things out to be able to enjoy our life without the I don't guess they can enjoy our life without the comfort of food or the comfort of drugs or alcohol. Everything in moderation. there's nothing wrong with eating for pleasure, but you don't want to be eating for pleasure all the time
Mhm.
because it becomes an addiction.
Yeah.
And most people eat like they mean it. How many signs do you see that's just telling you to eat? And they got these big, I mean, it's enough for a whole day. And most of the inactivity of people, too, they're too inactive. So, okay.
Yeah, if you give a person like okay, here's a good example. You give a person $30 and like let's say you got two people that are hungry. You give a person $30 and tell them to go get food. Or like one person, give them $30, tell them to go to Kroger get some food because the food in Kroger is kind of healthy. They're too lazy to do it. You give them $30 and tell them go to McDonald's and go get yourself a burger. Boom. Get right up and
Well, it's the
get to
easier,
it.
softer way. And as humans, we're always looking for the easier, softer
Mhm.
way.
Because they don't want to have to go back and then cook it and then do all the work. They can just go to McDonald's and then it's already made for them.
I think about it in regards to fighting. I see guys posting on social media, Instagram mainly, about they show you these techniques in case anybody attacks you, and it's like they get thousands of likes. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's fine, and you could probably do that if you practiced it, the technique in actual combat with another person over and over and over again. And then when it actually happened in real life, you may be able to pull it off. But people like that, they think they can just watch something like that. Oh, I know what to do now. And as you guys know, you're starting to box. It doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
It took me years to learn how to really fight. And then in situations later on in my life where I actually was in a dangerous situation where somebody wanted to hurt me and I wasn't in the ring, I reacted automatically and took care of the situation physically.
Mhm.
Yeah, when Breno and I used to wrestle around, and I was teaching him things, the only way he was going to learn how to pick those up is if he tried them against me whenever we would wrestle. That's how he managed to pin me a couple times. So if I had just told him what to do and he never practiced it on anyone, I could have pinned him every time. But he got me a couple times because him and I would wrestle, and I would tell him what he can fix and like what he's messing up on. It's like you're never gonna learn how to do it unless you do it.
Yeah, and that's why you don't mess with me, right?
Oh yeah.
We don't have a soundboard, Frank. Where's our soundboard at? Did you not program it in? We got a question from Zach Jules. He wants to know, how often should a person work out? Not much a work. He says he's not much a work. He's not much for working out. Not much.
I would
for
start
working
off at like 3 days a week and then
Yeah.
do that for about 3-4 weeks. If you're comfortable, start adding another day.
You could so one thing you could do is don't go to the gym and work out for 2 hours. You're
Yeah,
gonna be
that's what you
exhausted and not
do.
want to go the next day. Just start with something small, maybe 3 sets of 10 or maybe 3 sets of 15, and then once you keep going, then bring it up higher to 4 sets and then maybe 5 sets. Like, just start small and then work your way up. Because if you work up just like that, you're not gonna want to go. Got to start small.
Well, let's say some people don't want to go to the gym; they could just do something at home. I say you need you need to do it long enough. You need to do it long enough to develop it into a habit.
Yeah.
Maybe we
It
should
takes
start
21 days
somewhere.
to develop a habit.
Yeah.
Once you start doing that, for me, I go to build muscle. So we do for our first day, we have our heavy day. So we just get through the soreness first day. We do 3 or 5 sets of 5, and then the next day we do 5 sets
Yeah,
of
it's
5 on
like-
a ladder.
It's like 21 days build a habit, 90 days build a lifestyle.
But he could just get up. Let's say he could get up and just go out and walk around the block. I mean, you don't have to start out big. I remember when I first started running. Of course, I drank and smoked. I was about 20 or 19 or 20. I started boxing. The first time I ran one telephone. I ran to the end of the driveway and then one telephone pole length and then back. And I went on the couch and about passed out because I wasn't used to running. So next day I went one more telephone pole, one more, and then of course then I got to where I could run 30 miles. So the best advice I have for Zach would be to just start out slow. I mean, just work out for 5 minutes. Do 10 push-ups if you can do 3 if you can only do 3. I mean, if you got to start out doing them on your knees, I don't know what kind of shape you're in, do it that way, but just do a little more every day and start out just for 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then take a walk, just maybe around the block.
Yeah.
You'll be
One,
amazed how much better you feel. Now, you're not always going to feel like doing it. I don't always feel like working out, but if you do that long enough, you'll see the benefits and you'll get to where it's easier to work out than it is not to work out.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna say is find a friend who's willing to go to the gym, or somebody who you guys have the same time schedule. Like, if both of you guys are off at 3 and he goes to the gym, start going with him. Because I go to the gym with Henry and Frank. We both get off work at the same time. Because it's more fun going with like friends or like family or somebody, because then you have that how to explain it? It's almost like,
Camaraderie.
yeah, you have that camaraderie, and not only that, but you also have that competition become greater. You have the like, we go to boxing, and when you go to the gym, look at somebody who's built, who's been going there for years. Strive to be like that. Look up to be like someone. When I was doing wrestling, there's a guy named Luke Hardy, and I wanted to be just like him because he was really good at wrestling. Well, now we're doing boxing, and there's this dude named Warren. He's really good, and I want to be as good as him, if not better.
Well, yeah, it's good to find a mentor, someone that you want to aspire to be like. And I know, like when I ran with Frank the other night, and I've experienced this before. I used to run with the high school kids. You always have a better workout. There's an energy that you get running with someone, or boxing with someone, or working out at the gym with someone that you don't get by yourself. A lot of people can't work out at home by themselves. I've been doing it for years, but I will say that when I do it with someone, I always seem to have a better workout than I do by myself.
Yeah.
There's something that happens when two people get together and doing the same thing, or 3 or 5. I know when I used to run with the high school kids, I'd go up there and do sprints. We do 200s and 400s, or we do cross country. It was a lot of fun. It doesn't seem, you can run faster and harder, and it doesn't seem, it's just different. It's just a whole different vibe than when you do it by yourself. Although there are times when I've done long runs by myself, and I really enjoyed the solitude of that too. So either way has its good. Now I like working at home, and during this last health crisis thing, I didn't have to worry about the gyms being closed or anything, so it didn't affect me whatsoever. So I like that too. All right. Well, if anybody else got any questions, put them on the chat, or we're going to wrap it up here in a couple minutes. Any further comments on health is your wealth? And actually,
Getting good sleep too is also part of your health.
That's
Yeah.
important. You got to have the rest too.
Mhm.
It's not just the working. I know a lot of people say do one more rep, and sometimes that is important, but sometimes you need to take one day off or do one less rep.
Yeah.
You can tell by, you got to listen to your body. Your body will tell you what you need to do. You just have to listen. I know I've made the mistake more times than not. When I'm lifting, I feel something hurt. I think, nah, I'll do a few more, and I better off to be stopped. I don't stop when I should have. So
Yeah.
sometimes going the extra mile or doing it can actually be detrimental to your success. You just have to know to listen to your body and learn how your body responds to certain things.
Yeah, or like, find a mentor, find a coach who will teach you like how to eat healthy and all that sort of stuff, and make sure have somebody that'll keep you accountable to go to the gym or to do something.
Yeah, a
Because
lot of people say that the muscles are built in the kitchen.
Mhm.
I've heard that too. You have to eat the right kind of food to gain the muscles, because as we said before, what you eat turns into you.
hmm
So if you're eating trash, how do you expect to get quality muscles if you're eating junk
Yeah.
food all the time?
Yeah, I also seen some people were wondering about six packs, and someone said it's not about how much you work out on your abs; it's about what you eat.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I know I've got a better. My abs ripped more now than it ever was, because that girl I was going out with, she was big into nutrition, studied it, and she would push me to eat certain foods, and because I kind of had the middle, a little bit of around the middle, and I thought, well, maybe it's my age. It's not my age; it was what I ate, because I eat differently now, and I'm cut. I have a 6-pack. Some guys, oh, you've got an 8-pack. Hard for me to see it because of my body dysmorphia, but I'm always thinking I got to do a little bit more there, even though I'm happy with my body, but I always think there's more I can do. I can make it look better.
yeah.
But yeah, it has so much to do with what I eat. I cut back on the fats. I eat a lot of protein. I don't eat any sweet, like candy bars, anything like that anymore. The only thing that I eat that I don't, probably is not really good, is I eat the Raisin Bran, and I like the cereal sometimes once a day.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, you're not gonna give me credit for the workouts I showed you.
Oh,
how to
well,
get
Claude showed me the scrunches. But now I haven't been able to do those since I had this neck injury. So
Yeah.
what I've started doing is what are those when you raise your legs up, leg raises?
Leg lifts.
What is that? What is the apparatus called that I do it on?
Oh, you're talking about oh
Because I
crap.
bought that. I moved
Yeah.
that back. I started doing that now. So that's building my. I'm going. Actually, what I think, those exercises you gave me really got me cut up, but it wasn't building the muscle.
Yeah.
I started doing those, and I think it's actually building my abdomen muscles up.
Uh-huh.
Bigger.
Yeah, you're pretty much on a what they call it a dip rack. But what you do is
Okay.
yeah, you put your arms down, you go like this, and what you
Yeah.
do is you raise your knees right up to your abs. You can feel it flex your abs.
Yeah.
Another thing other people do is what they'll do is they'll raise it up to their knees, straighten out their legs, and they'll straighten their legs out, and they'll do their
Oh,
knees.
yeah.
Yeah,
it also
that's
works out
tough.
your back too. Your
Yeah.
lower back, I can feel it there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I started doing those. So sometimes when you get hurt, I mean, I was really disappointed I couldn't do those because when I tried to, it hurt my neck.
Uh-huh.
So then I would try to do them without grabbing my head, and that still hurt too. But it's actually turned out better because I wasn't building them up like and this. What I'm doing now, we moved that dip rack in there.
Mhm.
I'm doing those, and I can actually feel getting more resistance on that.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually building up the muscles in there, which I always liked having a flat stomach because when I was a kid, I had what they call a pot belly. I never thought, actually, my stomach probably looks better now than maybe it ever has since I've been working out.
Yeah, a lot of people like to work on their abs, but they also want to work on their obliques. I think that look like gills.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, one way you could do it is you pretty much stand. It's almost like doing a plank, but you're like sideways, and you're pretty much in a plank position but sideways. You have your arm like this, and you're like standing. You're pretty much standing in a plank position, but you have your hand on your side like this, and you're pretty much sideways.
Yeah.
You can do it both ways. That's how whenever I was in ninth grade, that's how I used to work on my obliques because our coach would have us do that. Coach Moore, he's really good at. He's really
Yeah, he
good
told
at
me about
making
belly
workouts.
pressure whenever you're working out.
Yeah, he's really good at that stuff.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for commenting in the chat. Not sure if I'm going to be on next weekend or not. If I am, I'll be coming
yeah.
live from Oakland, California. I'm going out there to meet up with Alfie Kingdom. He's a great guy. Check him out on Alfie Kingdom Podcast. He's got 20-some books on Amazon. Great books. I've read 3 or 4 of them so far. And I guess we're done. We're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Take care. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.